everybody. We are back with Midwest Chingóna episodes, and I am so excited for tonight's episode. We have an amazing group of educators amongst us today, and we need your voices so much. So we appreciate all of you being here today. But I'm going to start with my wonderful co-host, Lori Peters. How are you, Lori?
Hey, Deanna. How are you?
I'm so glad to have you back, and I just want to congratulate you on your new amazing venture that you have going on right now. So everybody, please check out her lives that are coming up.
Oh yes, I'm excited about it. It's different for me, but I'm doing it. So it's very exciting. Thank you.
Yes, and all your amazing education and the beautifulness of being an educator. So just appreciate you being here and co-hosting with me always.
Thank you. It is an honor to be here.
So let us introduce our amazing guests. We today are talking about education in regards to scholarships and mentorship and just all around how do us Latinos become a part of the education system and stay within the education system so that we can succeed in the things that we do in our life, in regards to, having that educational piece. So we have some amazing educators here tonight. So Uzziel Pecina, how are you tonight? Thank you for helping us coordinate this.
Thank you very, very much for inviting me. I think this is an excellent opportunity for families to partake and ask questions, of course. Thanks.
Absolutely. We always appreciate your voice, and thank you for being so open to inviting others to this platform as well.
Yep, it's always good.
So Uzziel introduced us to Mike Macias. Thank you, Mike, for being here.
Thanks for the invite.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are doing your education pieces.
Well, I grew up in Wyandotte County and went to Silver City Elementary, Argentine Middle School, and then J.C. Harmon High School, and then went to the Navy. And while I was in the Navy, had some really good mentors and ended up getting my bachelor's and master's. And then when I got out, I worked in the corporate world and pursued my doctorate degree online. And so completed. Ironically, now that everything is going online, I have been well versed in online education.
Mm-hmm. You were ahead of the game before anybody else was.
Yeah, a little bit, maybe.
Thank you so much for being here. Your name has been brought to me even prior to this broadcast, so I'm so excited to finally meet you here. So thanks for being a part of this.
Well, thanks for the invite.
So we also have Yvonne Ramirez. Thank you so much, Yvonne, for being here. I know we met recently and have really worked together on many different platforms, and I just absolutely admire all the work you do at UMKC for the community. I mean, you are just phenomenal, and I always spread your name to people that I know that need support and help, especially if they're attending UMKC. So please tell the community about who you are. If anyone doesn't know, I'm sure everybody knows.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and allowing me the space to share my story and also to be next to Mike and Dr. Pecina. And then we'll get into that later, but it's also real to me be right here next to them. But yeah, Mexicano, Regio, probably Regio from Monterrey, Mexico. Moved here when I was 15 years old. Went to high school. I was about to drop out. But anyway, I finished school, and I'll tell the story later, but currently I'm at the Multicultural Student Affairs Office at UMKC. Before that, I've been a teacher, I've been a banker, many other things. But yeah, and I enjoy a lot the work that I'm doing at the University of Kansas City. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for being here. We finally are on a platform together. We've been trying to work it out for a while. And Uzziel, I'm so sorry. We did not get your intro on this piece. We kind of just went right over. Right. Everybody knows you. So, but please tell us again about all your amazingness.
Oh, my God. No. We don't have enough time. No, I'm just kidding. Not enough space. Man, I'm an original West Sider from Kansas City. Both of my parents are immigrants from Vargas de la Coahuila. I am fully bilingual, fully bicultural, grew up here in the city, went to Switzer Elementary, Douglas Elementary, Westport Junior, Westport Senior. None of those schools exist today. So that's a whole different discussion. Let's see. I went off to Manhattan, Kansas to study at K-State Engineering, and I realized that I didn't love math and science that much, and I wasn't that big of a nerd. And so then I went into teaching. I figured I could do something I knew, and that was Spanish. So I became a Spanish teacher back in the day. And then I went to work for KCPS for a semester, and then I was pulled out by the Guadalupe Center to be a teacher at Alta Vista Alternative High School. And so that's where I started my teaching, and all of my training was through alternative education. And 2 of you were my students. And so, man, that's awesome. With a young principal at the age of 26, and that was only like 10 years ago. But that's where I started my leadership, and then I was plucked out of the center to go teach in Warrensburg. From Warrensburg, UMKC gave me a call, and I've been with UMKC now for almost 17 years. So I've been very, very proud to work at our university, where my daughter Alejandra is a freshman this year, and Jimena just graduated a year and a half ago. So UMKC is our hometown university, and so I'm really proud to serve. I'm also a musician. I play a little bit of guitar, so I'm part of a band. And but that's what I love to do. It's family, music, and carne asada. What can I say?
And you've given me some amazing recipes. I just appreciate that so much. I mean, I know I only went to Alta Vista for a little bit, so our connection was very small. And I don't even know if you remember me being there. It was so short. But the connection we've had just recently, and just the phenomenal part of making me feel like family, even though we barely have met, is just, I can tell the connection that you have with the community is just so strong. I can't even imagine knowing you for years and years, and just having that connection, as I'm sure Yvonne is going to talk about here shortly about that.
Sure. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Of course. So with that, let's go ahead and get started, because we have a lot of questions, a lot of things to talk about here. And I know the reason Uzi and I really wanted this to come back was the fact that we wanted to ensure that our Latino community is very well resourced and has access and knows the faces of the people that are here to help them. And if you don't get the help you need from the people here, they are more than happy to support you in any way to be able to find someone who can give you some access and opportunities. So with that, Uzi, do you want to kind of start us out a little bit on some of the projects you've been working on, and then we can kind of get into a conversation around what that whole sector is, and go from there?
Yeah, well, my main teaching responsibility at UMKC is preparing principals and superintendents, and also teachers in the School of Education. And so as a professor, we're also asked to do research in the community. And so my main research agenda has been diversity, leadership, and teaching. And so what I really wanted to do with a research colleague of mine is find out, go dig deep among the Latino community here in the Midwest, and find out what was it that worked well with us? What worked well, what got us through college? Because getting to college it's a lot easier now. The avenues have opened up for us, or going into different post-secondary opportunities. It's easy to get there. It's hard to finish. And so what we did some research on some graduates that graduated from the institution, 30 to 40 years ago, believe it or not, in the 70s and the 80s. And so what we did is we found out that there were a significant, or a few things that really helped our mentors graduate. And the thing that really surprised us, and not really, but something that we want to show the academic world, is that if you work with Latinos, the number one group of folk that you need to bring on board are parents. Every single one of the participants that we researched said 100%, if it wasn't for my family, my mom, my dad, my tios, my abuelos, whatever, if they weren't there for me to finish up school, then I would have struggled. But they considered their family the number one group of folk who helped them get through. So, and of course, when I get the opportunity to share the research, when it gets published this year, we'll surely pass that on. But Ivan also knows a lot of this, as well as Lori and Dr. Macias there, because we all work with youth, we work with families, we work with the community. We know what helped us out. We're also very resilient people. And, as Ivan alluded to, we have to have mentors. Even Dr. Macias and I have mentors. We have people that we lean on even today, even as we've earned our doctorates. I know Lori, that she is a doctoral candidate. I know I need to tell everybody that she's earning her doctorate too, and I'm so proud of her, coming from Alta Vista. But we don't do this alone. How's that? We don't do this alone. We don't get to these successes alone. It's our significant others. I'm sitting here in front of our degrees of fame in my house, and I can tell you every single one of those degrees I did not earn by myself. We do it together. We support each other in the community. My mentor, Gilbert Guerrero from Guadalupe Center, may he rest in peace. He and I had a wonderful and difficult mentorship relationship because we would fight, but we would argue, but we would debate, but that's also good. And, so we need to have those critical friends. And that's what, I have and I seek and I still use today.
Mike, going off of what Uzzi just talked about in regards to the mentors and who lifted him up, can you tell us a little bit about the mentors you had here in Kansas City or even beyond?
Well, it's okay. So mine's a little bit different as far as my mentorship, because I joined the Navy when I was 17 years old and went away as soon as I graduated high school. And I got into an advanced electronics occupation in the Navy, and I was the only Latino that taught advanced electronics. At the age of 21, I was teaching electronics to engineers and to my peers in the Navy, and all of my mentors were white males. And so, and I was the only Latino that was in that group, and so they called me muchachos, and then they shortened it down to Chachamo. And then my email is Chach in KC, because when I got out, everybody was like, well, how are we going to get a hold of you and keep in touch with you? So I just created Chach in KC. So, so those were really my mentors, but they didn't see me as Hispanic. They didn't see me as anything other than just a young man that needed guidance. And so to me, it was kind of odd because, I didn't have a lot of Latino influence other than my grandparents. Like Uzzi said, our relatives are very, very passionate about our success. And so my grandparents were always pushing me to further my education. So that's kind of how my mentorship was formulated.
I love that. I love that. Yvonne, going off of that now, can you tell us about how you started in your road to education and probably who your mentors were, but also you now founded a mentorship, or you're now the director of a mentorship program in a university. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
You're muted.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay, we're good. I moved here when I was 15, not knowing any English, straight to high school in a town of 4,000 people. And out of that, well, let me start. When we started, we were 14 in the classroom. The next year, we were only 7. And by the time we graduated, only 3 graduated from high school. One of them has a doctorate. She's a doctor, and me with a master's, and then another one that just completed associates. So that tells you how long, like, the dropout rate. And I think nowadays we have closed that gap, but now we get into how do we retain our students at the college level. So I graduated high school, and I was ready to drop out and ready to go to work at my parents' factory. They work at Tyson Foods in Sedalia. But then my neighbor, she said, hey, let's go meet this guy. I worked with this guy for so many years. He's wonderful. You need to meet him. So she took me to meet Uzziel. And then from them, I think Uzziel was the first male of color that took an interest in me as a whole person. And I think that's what we need in a mentor, in a mentor scholar relationship. He made me feel like we were family. believed in my own family and my history. Like, he didn't question my my background, my cultural background, or anything like that. So from there, he just kept encouraging me, hey, don't drop out. Instead of there, like, go get your associate's degree, go to community college route. Because I kept saying, hey, I'm not ready for the university level. I can be here with you, UCM. So yeah, I did that. I went to State Fair Community College, completed my associates. Then I came back to see Uzziel. Look, I did it. I got my associates. You probably don't remember any of this. But yeah, I got my associates. Okay, but now go get your bachelor's. Come over here with me. Get your bachelor's. So I did that. By the time I went to UCM, he was already gone. UMKC had stolen him. But we kept in contact. I graduated, got my bachelor's, was a teacher for 4 years. Then I decided to come back and get a master's. I don't remember if we talked or if that memory is gone. But yeah, we kept in contact because, no, I did tell you, because you came and talked to some of the students at UCM.
Right.
When I went to UCM on my bachelor's, there was no resources for our Latino students. Then I came back to get a master's, and me and a group of friends, we decided to start the Latino Student Organization, which Uzziel was one of our speakers. And I knew he had to be the first one to speak to the students, to also get and lit a fire under them, like he did to me. So from there, I graduated. When we were formulating that, he said, come to UMKC, steal some ideas, talk to our Latino studies. So I did that. I took a tour of MSA, the Multicultural Student Affairs Office. And I told my friends, one day I want to work here. And then fast forward 6-7 years later, I'm working at UMKC, leading the mentoring program, which what Uzziel was talking on his research is so true. Last year, we had a student, and after a welcome event, she sent out a tweet that her mom really felt welcome at UMKC. She's never felt welcome from the time she was in kindergarten to senior. But after something we did at a welcome event, her mom was really touched. She wanted to come back to campus. She really liked to be on campus there with us, which that's really nice. And we're proud that she feels that way. But it's also disheartening that there's still students or parents that are going from kindergarten to senior and they don't feel welcome stepping into the school building. So yeah, what we try to do is partner with K-12 schools to be there for them as well. But yeah, that's part of my story on my mentoring story with Dr. Pecina, and now part of my job that I do at UMKC.
So we would have breakfast with each other. We'd go to different Mexican restaurants because we like to eat. And we would, have menudo or carne asada and go to different places. And we would just talk. I mean, he would ask me questions, and I was always asking him, what's next? What are you going to do next, man? Okay, you're there, but what's going to be, because when we're in positions, we need to be planning for the next step. And Dr. Macias is agreeing with me. So I was always asking Ivan and any other person who want to listen to me talk, what's next? What's going to happen next? What's going to be your next move? And I'm glad Ivan just kept that relationship with me here in Kansas City. He would always call on me when he was coming to visit the city, and we would always have some time together.
And now he continues to push me like, hey, get a PhD. Now it's a PhD.
I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
We need more doctors here. We need more Latino doctors. So.
And that is true. Right. I think when we're students, we don't think of that. But now doing the work that I do, being right next to you, we do need more people with those type of degrees to watch out for the incoming generation.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Go ahead, Ms. Lori.
So the question is to anyone on the platform. Do you believe that the rate of students that aren't returning is because the lack of them having a mentor to connect to, or is it because of funding for them to continue their education in regards to not having money or access to the scholarships that are needed to continue on?
Yvonne, what are you finding out now? I could give, the findings of the research that I found, that we, the conclusions we drew, but they really didn't talk about funding. They didn't talk about money. For some reason or another, Yvonne and Mike can agree with me, we always found the money. We had to beg, borrow, and not steal it, but we had to, or work for it. We found the money. The money generally is not the problem. It's different experiences on campus and off campus. Can I give you the 4 things that help people finish school? I have the paper right here. Number 1 is family, familia. Number 2, valued cultural identity. Number 3, student organizations. If student organizations exist on campus, man, you're going to want to stay. And when I refer to cultural identity, it was a constructive cultural identity. People respected you. People respected where you came from, or they try to get to know what you're about culturally. And something else too: opportunities for off-campus experiences. Some of the participants said that those professors who took interest in you as a student also provided you opportunities for leadership, to go to conferences, to study abroad, and to find those avenues, of success, and also the funding needed. If you can earn a scholarship to go study abroad, man, that's just something amazing that doesn't necessarily come out of your pocket, or does it stress out your family. So those are the 4 things we found out.
And I think it was Deoslin that just posted in a comment that stated representation matters. Mm-hmm. And my experience, my own experience, I started my college career at Penn Valley. The representation of Latinos and just people of color, it was plentiful. And then as I went up to the Park University, and then the University of Phoenix, and then where I'm at right now, Baker University, there was less and less representation. So do you think as students matriculate up, that's what discourages them? Because sometimes in the classroom, our voice is the voice of, well, you're the brown person, or you're the Black person, so tell us what you feel. And sometimes white individuals, even white professors, would look at you and be like, well, tell us your experience, because we don't know.
Well, that's on us. That's on the institution. That's on we professors. If we're going to retain, attract, and take this seriously, it's on us to also get to know the community that we're serving. We do that for teachers, right? Teachers go serve in all different diverse communities, and sometimes not. But generally, we get to know the families that we serve. Was the same thing at the university. We should be getting to know the students, the diverse group of students that we have on campus. Some will take an interest in it, others won't. I was lucky to be a Latino professor that is very, I love learning about other people, period. So I'm always very curious and wanting to learn about other people. But that's just me. And also what happens is we need professors who are willing to be open like that. And let me tell you something. It wasn't Latino professors that got me to where I am. Majority of professors, like Mike was talking about, like we were talking about, were white females and Black females. I had mostly Black professors who got me to where I am today. It was, because we're in the Midwest, there aren't enough abundance of Latino professors. Now you go to Chicago, you go to Texas, you go to Florida, New York, and California, and the Southwest. Yeah, you're gonna find a lot of Dr. Rodriguez, President Ramirez, all these different leaders who are of our community. And one of the reasons why they're there in those very diverse Latino communities, because they want to stay. That's also something that draws us or keeps us in our communities, is because we love our family. I've had a whole bunch of professor friends who've come from California and they don't stay. Why? Where do they want to go? When they're able to get their experience and able to get their tenure, they can go back to California and they're right next to family.
Right.
That's true. But you also can't discount those professors that are not our community who respect us and want to see us succeed.
Oh, absolutely not. Right.
Yes, they do exist.
They do.
And can I ask? Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Oh,
Mike.
oh no, I
Go
just
ahead. Sorry.
with the things that Uzziel tapped on earlier, as far as the reasons that we don't continue our education, he's absolutely right. It's usually not money, because as poor as a lot of our families are, we find ways to make that money happen. And Miss Tot asked a question, what if they owe money already, and what's limiting them from taking their last class? What can you do? Uzi hit on it hard when he said, we do fundraisers like selling tamales or homemade cookies, or there's ways that our family comes up with the money to help us when we need it.
Who can answer that question too at an institutional level would be Yvonne. Now, this is just something really quick, but from what I know, your financial aid offices can work with you. If you are almost done and you owe a little bit of money, believe it or not, the institutions will work with you. They want you there. Now, if you can pick out a payment plan, it can happen. Now, you may not get your degree when you want it, or they won't release your transcripts. But if you are able to work something out with the institution, many times they'll want to help you out. They want you to succeed too. Ivan?
Yeah. There is emergency funds that we can tap into at different schools within the institution, or with the institution that the students can apply. Usually, what I tell the scholars is just send me an email with how much you need, what are the scholarships that you have. And it's really easy for me to send an email to financial aid, and then they will find different ways, different funds or avenues for the student to stay at the university. It's an investment for us to keep you there. If it's one class, 2 classes left, then it's worth it. At the end of the day, we do want to see you succeed and graduate. Besides that, there's also different entities within the community that can also help, or the fundraisers. But yeah, it is not money. And you know our community. Before we work hard, we're gonna go out there and hustle. I have students that are selling flan, tamales, to help their family and to help themselves. So yeah, I think the number one is having somebody that you relate to, and then believe in them. The mentoring part will be more important, or one of the issues for not staying, besides the money.
And Yvonne, and just to kind of piggyback on that, and Marisa did kind of copy a little bit what Dioslin said in regards. So she's a mom, has 3 kids in private school, and some of them they're almost going to be ready to go to college. So she's trying to go back to school. Marisa's kind of in the same situation I'm in. She's about the same age as me. I'm going to be 44, and now just realized, and now I'm trying to build this empire now, right? That I'm trying to succeed at, but I have no degree. I went to a year and a half at Penn Valley, and literally almost flunked out because I'm not a good student. I just never have been. I've never been supported in that way in regards to education. So it was just usually just go to work. So how does someone like myself, so would the opportunities that you have at UMKC for someone that hasn't been in school since 1998, something like that, how do you get back in it to fulfill at least the fact of an entrepreneurial program, owning your own business? I couldn't even do my own finances, or my husband, who owns his own business and has owned it for about 25 years. We don't even have an accountant, and that's why we can't apply for these loans, is because we don't have everything in order. Just like most people in our situations, that just do their business, they do their work, they do everything right, but they just don't know financially how to do books. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And this is just, remember, this is just a faculty member perspective. I believe that some of the first steps is what you're talking about right now, expressing your need, seeking out your dream, reaching out to professors and folk who are at the institution you want to go to. The main thing is getting an opportunity to go sit down with an advisor. Number one, what is it that you want to do? What do you think you want to do? You hear the different programs. And just talking about what is it that's going to get you back to the university on campus. I mean, if you don't go, we don't know what you need. If we don't talk, we can't help you. So that's the first step, is stepping on campus and calling Yvonne, calling me, saying, Uzziel, I'm going to be there this Friday. Can we have coffee, at the union? Or Mike, I know you know some people, some advisors on campus. Can you go with me? We're willing to, and same thing with Lori. Lori knows about university experiences. There we go with people who have been there. Our parents, I don't know about any of you, my dad and mom didn't go to college. They were relying on the counselors to help me out. It was Gilbert Guerrero who helped me fill out my financial aid statement on paper, and we sat there at the Guadalupe Center, and that, he was the one who helped me mail it, and then that's how we started out. So there's got to be an advisor or a counselor or someone willing to go with you. And I'm telling you, we have many Latinos who have graduated from institutions who are willing to step in to help you out and to walk you through. Because it can be intimidating, man. I'm telling you, even as a person with a doctorate, it still intimidated me when Jimena was going to MU, or Alejandra even today on my own institution. I'm over here second guessing. It's a lot of work, but you know what? I lean on people. I call people. I say, hey, man, this is the question I have. What do we do? It's getting those connections started.
And I'll have to say this, Gabe Munoz has been such an amazing support for me and my husband, because I think the first part with a lot of Latino families is the fact that we are kind of humbled. We kind of just do it on our own. You do the work, you get it done. You don't really ask for that, and that's kind of just how you're trained a little bit. And if you don't know the people, you're like, why? I don't want to bug them. I don't want to, give them my personal story, those types of things. And Martha, her question here is, many occasions, counselors and teachers at high school level are the ones who discourage our Latinx students from applying to college and encourage them to do vocational work. Your voices are very important to those of us who teach secondary levels. And I am going to tell you personally, that's what happened to me when I was in high school, and now it's happening to my own kids right now. And it's not the fact that they're telling them not to, it's the fact that they're not even encouraging them. They're not even helping them. They're not even there when they ask to sign up and get advice. They're not even calling them back. I have to be like, hello, it's been 2 weeks and she's supposed to be done with this and know what her plan is and be in AP classes, but you haven't even put her in AP classes. I mean, it's almost as if the parent is running the school, and I don't even have a degree myself, so I don't even know what is right or wrong. So I feel you, Martha, when you say that. So do you have any advice on that point?
Mike.
So ironically, in high school, I was the horrible student. In fact, I got 3 Fs my senior year. I graduated with a 1.7 GPA, and I met with my counselor right before I was supposed to graduate. And my counselor, to exactly Ms. Serrano's point, my counselor said, you know what? He said, you'd be a good trash man. You should consider going into the business, not even going into the business, but working for a trash company as like the guy that rides on the back and throws the stuff in the back. And I mean, I wasn't applying myself in high school, so I kind of understood where he was coming from, but I also knew that I was going to the Navy, and I scored extremely high on the ASVAB, and so I knew I was going into a high-tech field, but I was just like, I couldn't believe that he didn't even consider college. It was just straight up, like Ms. Serrano says, it's vocational work is what they're encouraging a lot of our young people to do. And so, I mean, I understand a lot of it, and when I work with our high school youth in the urban core, a lot of our teachers label them a lot of times based on their accents. So they may not speak English perfectly, but English is not their first language, and so they're like, oh well, they would probably do well in the vocational industries, but it's ironic. I just went to a young man's graduation Saturday, and he's been in the U.S. for 4 years. He has 8 siblings. He's the oldest of 8 siblings, and he graduated from our program at East High School with an associate's degree.
Very good.
And he's getting ready to go to MU. But and this is something I tell a lot of our funders when I talk to them, is a lot of these kids, not just Latinos, but they could be from anywhere. But if they're not American and they don't speak English perfectly, then they label them as being less than the ideal student.
just because you know another language doesn't mean you're dumb. Just,
Right.
You're smarter.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the problem. Now, it's easy for me to say that a parent should go and do what you're doing, Diana, by advocating for your child. Because I will guarantee you there are a whole bunch of other parents that are doing the same thing, and counselors are hearing them, and they're listening to them, and they're making it happen for their kids. Now, having been an administrator and a former principal, man, if Lori was calling me all the time about her daughter or her young man about getting into these advanced classes, and I hear her pushing me, you know, I'm gonna get to the counselor and say, hey, you know what? Miss Lori wants her son to be in AP classes. We need to make this happen. That unfortunately, what is it? The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Right.
We're always calling and bugging the crap out of the counselor or the principal. You know, I need to speak to a vice principal. I need to speak to someone who's going to make this happen. If you're always on them, it has to happen. Now, I know it's also a challenge because I tell you, my parents who didn't know English well were some of the last ones who were going to go engage with the administration. And I know that for a fact. And so at that point, that's when you get a reverend, you get a priest, you get, you know, a Dr. Pecina or Ivan or Lori or Dr. Macias, you know, to go in to be your advocate. That can happen. We also have people at community centers who could be your advocate. And once again, it's all those relationships that we have. I remember having, you know, a priest come in and speak to me about advocating for one of their parishioners. That can happen too. I mean, we have to have people on our side if we're going to help, you know, if we're going to move forward.
So going from that point, and anyone can answer this too, and Lori, please chime in because you're an educator here too, not just a co-host, you're an educator as well. So my kids are 4.0 students, right? Doing great things. We don't have the really support of the counselor. Okay. I can find outlets for the community to kind of help me figure out if she's even in the right classes if my school's not. But when it comes to the fact of college, I didn't go. My husband went for maybe a year. He was undocumented, so they took that away. So it's one of those things where we're leading the blind here. And having a 4.0 student, knowing that they have all these advantages, right, all these privileges, but yet no resources to ensure that they're going the right path, at least from where we're at right now. So this is why this conversation is so important, because I know I'm not the only one feeling this way. My hairdresser just told me the same thing about their own child. And I was like, wow, this isn't just a me thing. It's like so many people don't feel like they have an access point or a guide or not even just a mentor, but just somebody to help them figure out if they're even on the right path or how do they even get their kids in college.
Mm-hmm.
Can I help answer that? Or okay. So one of the, and Dr. Pecina and Ivan have, I'm sure, are familiar with this as well. But in your case, you need to make sure your students are not only good students with 4.0 GPA, but they're good citizens as well. So helping out at church or at the school or some type of community service, and then having someone like Ivan or Dr. Pecina or myself advocate for them at one of the universities. Because I tell you, I have relationships with a lot of different universities and people that are pretty high up in the university. And I've helped several of my students get full rides at like St. Mary's, Donnelly College. Currently talking to some people at MU about getting one of my young student that just graduated with an associate's degree, trying to get him a full ride out there for the next 2 years so he can finish a 4-year degree. But having your students and having, even like you said, your friend, your hairdresser, just sharing like my contact information, everything I do is pro bono. It's all, everything I get to operate is funded through corporations, through federal funding, or through individual donors. And so everything I offer to the community is all free. And it's stuff like that to help prepare your young students. Like you said, we don't know what we don't know. And so Dr. Pecina, Ivan, Lori, me, other people, Dr. Chavez, Dr. Vargas, who can't be on the call today, but A lot of us have been there and been through all these different things, and we know that we have to pull each other up and we have to help each other. And that's the only way we're going to close those gaps. That's the only way.
It's relationships. You know, we do that well. Isn't that right, Lori?
That's right. And your daughter, your student's school district has a plan, one for graduation, that has requirements for community service hours. And they usually have information on internships. And if I recall, one of your students is into art. So I'm looking for internships. I know we're in the season of COVID, but internships at like the museums or anything connected to art. So your student can get out there and start making their own connections, because when they start applying at the colleges or the art colleges specifically, they're also going to, well, who do you know? What references are going to be attached to the college application?
Yvonne, do you have anything to add to that? Especially since you're working in the university right now with the kids or young people.
No, I was going to back up what Dr. Pecina said. We will be there for the students, and then they come to the university, and we usually go to those meetings with them and make sure that they're being taken care of on their own personal time. But yeah, it's just building those relationships, finding those mentors, and I'm also available for anybody that needs help. So yeah, I also give my personal information afterwards, like Mike.
Thank you. I mean, that's a huge thing, and we really appreciate that. I know people in the community will definitely use that information. I know it's very much needed. And Dioslin's kind of adding on a little bit, Lori, what you said. What places can students go in order to get these experiences, these volunteer hours? Because that is a true thing. My kids really haven't done a whole lot of community. They're in the A+ program, so they do get those to go to that in Missouri.
But you know, I know this because of COVID, DESE, the state of Missouri, waived community service hours for students except for A+ students. But you want to see what can your students do, you know, for community giving back. Also look at colleges that they might be interested in that have virtual tours, because college visits are going to look a lot different coming up this year. And the virtual tours, not just here in Kansas City, but abroad. And, you know, your children and a lot of children, I mean, they have a solid foundation, so they might not be timid to go away. You know what I mean? So definitely look and see what college tours are virtual, because I'm sure many are going to be turning virtual because of the virus.
You know, I just noticed right now, Elizabeth Montier mentioned the dual enrollment and early college opportunities that exist in some school districts right now. Alejandra, my daughter, went through the early college program at Metropolitan Community Colleges. So this past May, she earned not only her high school diploma, but she also has an associate's degree. Now, many school districts have those opportunities for our students who are sophomores to go in as a junior and a senior to community colleges. Man, honestly, man, that's saving a lot of money. That's saving me and my wife a lot of money, as Alejandra and I was going to UMKC as a junior with all those extra credits. So what parents should look for are those opportunities for dual credit, advanced credit, so that it saves us money. Be honest, and save you some money, you know, as your children go to college. But those opportunities are out there. Once again, we need to seek them out within our school districts, or get involved with our school districts to demand it. Say, you know what, this can help out our community, period, if we have these opportunities for our children to attend early college opportunities.
Yeah.
So Marisa has a question about, do you work with only inner city community, or do you help kids that are in private school? She would like to know about receiving help mentoring to get ready for college.
Anyone. Mike, with anyone, right?
Yeah, anyone. It doesn't matter, private. In fact, I've worked with kids from Bishop Ward High School. I've worked with kids from Cristo Rey, from Bishop Miege, you know. Plus, I've worked with a lot of the public schools, Liberty, As far south as Olathe. So really, if you can get your kids to some of our programs, and a lot of them are being moved to online, so it's even more flexible now than it was in the past. And some of the incentives I have for some of our program participants are like, we give out Fire tablets, we give out Chromebooks, we give out, I just purchased 20 Wi-Fi hotspots with 1 gig of data already loaded on them. Those are some of the things that I'm providing to some of our students. Those are primarily for our urban core inner city high schools students that just don't have the resources for those things at home. But some of the other stuff is it's open. I mean, if you want to enroll your students in some of our online programs, they're more than welcome to participate.
I saw some comment about internships. I know internships come about for college students. Yvonne can speak to a lot of those opportunities within we have to remember there are a lot of different departments, a lot of different college degrees, and many of these departments have internships for students. They're college students. Now, if you're a high schooler, you can seek out and just cold call and say, hey, is there an opportunity that I can be an apprentice? Can I just go volunteer? Community centers. Man, right now, I know for a fact those food distribution centers, I know for a fact need help because they're moving all kinds of food throughout the city to communities. Harvesters, I'm sure would be asking for some help, most especially with the need that's going on. But there's a lot of folk that are making things happen who need help, and I would just cold call. Just a suggestion.
There's many organizations within the city, Hierarchy C being one of them. They have internship opportunities and volunteer opportunities.
There you go.
The Latino Arts Foundation, HDF, they have volunteer opportunities. There's many nonprofit organizations that will take those volunteer students.
Yep.
I also think what's important is while we're helping, looking, internships, they also need to understand that it's a part of their resume,
Yes.
Because that's a part of the college application process, because some will ask for a resume. And I think that is one of the skills that our students is also lacking.
Yeah. Thinking about
That's a whole different show.
Yeah.
No, that's a whole. So when it comes into scholarships, because that's one of the biggest things, the essay part. Is there mentoring in regards to filling out those scholarships in a way that your essay won't be the downfall of why you didn't get it?
Yeah, I always tell students when they complete, like when they're writing their essay, to make sure that there's somehow they weave their personal endeavors that either them or their family has endured, but try to weave it into whatever the question is. But then also, once they think they have it where they think they want it, that they need to have the English teachers or literature teachers that they think are the toughest look over that, because the last thing that they want is someone to read their essay and it starts pulling on heartstrings, and then someone reads a typographical error or a grammatical error and they're like, oh, nah, this kid they're not as smart as we think they are. So they want to eliminate all of that, the possibility of them being discounted, but have a really strong heart, because when you tug on people's heartstrings, they're directly related to the money strings.
Right. And I will 100% agree with that. Some students don't want to open up their life story, but it does open up those dollars. Because my master's degree, a 100% scholarship, and that's how I got into education through the University of Phoenix, because I told them my life story. And they was like, well, congratulations, here you go. All right. But it's because I had to be transparent and tell them
the truth.
My truth. I mean, and then you also, I had to write 3 separate essays. So we also have to prepare our students. There are 3 or 1 to so many writing prompts if you're applying for a scholarship.
And you can always get help from different folk within the community, because you have to remember there's a lot of folk who have gone to college who can just look over your essay. Something we need to remind our students is don't send in your first draft. You better go through it 2 or 3 times and have 2 or 3 other people look at it, because 3 or 4 heads are better than one. Almost 8 to 16 eyes are better too. And that's something that our students need to understand. Now, I work with undergraduate students, and I see a lot of students who just throw in their very first essay, and unfortunately gets chewed up because they didn't pay attention. But these are skills that we should practice in middle school, high school, and as we get to college, we get better.
We keep working on that at the university level. Within our office, we offer workshops on resume building, cover letter,
writing studio. The students.
In the writing studio, career services, there's all those offices that will help the students.
The help is there. You just you have to seek it or ask questions. Where can I get this help? I was, I graduated valedictorian from Westport High School in '86, and I thought I knew it all. I thought I was smart. Yes, Miss Lori, valedictorian. A nerd. And I went to K-State and got my butt kicked in trigonometry, in chemistry, because I wasn't prepared. What I didn't do, and what a lot of you haven't done, is you didn't give up. Resiliency. That's also another thing within my paper. We didn't give up. There might have been all kinds of challenges. Heaven forbid, my dad would have lost his job at the factory. I would have had to have quit because my mom didn't have a job that was going to sustain the family. So, there's a lot of things that kept us on the edge, but we didn't give up and we didn't quit.
I love that. I think that's exactly what kids need to hear, constantly, because they may not be getting it at home or around their community or wherever, but just hearing that here on this platform, just to know that there's, just even 5 people here that can help in some way, can change just one child's life, just in this moment. To kind of go on that, Dioslin is asking, is there any college fairs or internship fairs nearby in our communities that we may not know about, and how can we connect or find these events? Because that also goes around the question of, when you do put in these applications, is there a limit or is there too much community work that a student can do? So you have these great grades and all of a sudden you're like plastered with all the community work, or you maybe just have 2 or 3. Does that matter?
I don't think it's never too much, because the more people you meet, the more letters of recommendation you can get. You think about it. And if you have a diverse group of folks that you've been working with, at hospitals, at clinics, at community center, at church, that's 4 or 5 people that can write you a letter of recommendation real quick. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I agree to a certain degree on that, but I also watch out for the young people that take on too many things, because then they're spreading themselves. And I had a young lady that was super intelligent. I'm not going to say her name, but she worked for me, and she was so intelligent that people kept asking her, "Hey, can you work with us? Can you do this with our community? Can you do this with our nonprofit?" And she spread herself so thin that she wasn't doing a good job with us, and that was her primary job. And I gave her that advice when she left. In fact, I advised her that she needed to resign or I had to fire her. And I said, when you're and it's not because I don't think you're intelligent. I think you're extremely intelligent, but you're spreading yourself too thin to where you're not really helping all these organizations that you're involved with. But you have them all on your resume, but in the same token, you're not really benefiting any of them because you're contributing so little. And so I think there's a balance in it, but yeah, I do agree with Uzzi. The more letters of recommendation you can get, I think it's better. But don't spread yourself too thin.
Quality.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Agreed.
I mean, with
Laura,
the,
you have any?
I was gonna,
Go ahead, Yvonne.
I was gonna do another quick plug-in for Hire KC on the internship fairs because I know they do online internship fairs.
And
Sorry,
Elizabeth just
Lori.
put on here that there's an NACAC college fair brought a hall virtual this year that people can be a part of. So there's that information there too.
Excellent.
Lori, I'm sorry, I don't want to step over any of your questions. Do you have any questions for the group?
No, I didn't have any questions. I was just going to say what I found is there are some districts that get information on scholarships that other districts won't receive. And I think that if we know about them, we should share, because we want, students to be able to have the same opportunities, especially Black and Brown students, students of color, to be able to apply and know of the different scholarships that are out there. I just found it interesting. And the only reason I found a whole list of scholarships is because one of my friends who work in a different district than I'm in, she was like, hey, look at this list of scholarships. Have your students apply. And I looked and I was like, so when I went to talk to my counselors and I shared it, they said, oh, we've never seen this list before. And I thought it was so interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's a sharing of information, So
yeah. And I mean, you would think there'd be like a data bank or some type of clearinghouse for all the scholarships and there could be, but for the students to have, easier access to scholarships, so I share with my students all that I can.
Deanna, you were talking about getting ready for college and opportunities for financial assistance. I know for a fact that we have to fill out the federal financial aid form, FAFSA. Isn't that right, Mike? We need to fill that out first because it asks you what institutions do you want this information to go to. Mm-hmm. So you can have the 5 top colleges that you want this specific federal information to go to because that's where they determine your scholarship. That's where they determine your grants. They say, oh man, this person is going to need some financial help. And you have to do it early because universities run out of money. And especially now at COVID, it's going to be
right.
So the federal financial aid form should be filled out. Mike, how early can people start filling it out now?
I want to say that October, I believe, is when you can start filling it out. However, for undocumented students, they need to fill it out manually and provide it to a lot of the universities manually because Madeo Rivera out of K-State told me that when they complete it manually and turn it in, it qualifies them for scholarships internal to the university. And I've had other universities tell me the same thing.
Yeah.
So even though a lot of our undocumented kids cannot fill it out electronically, and they think, oh, well, I'm not going to qualify for anything. If they do it manually, it internally qualifies them for other scholarships within the schools, the different schools, say School of Business, School of Engineering, within those universities.
So can I ask you, do you know of anyone that actually helps with choosing the right college? Because so my own child is going to be a junior this year, and she's getting flooded with pamphlets, right? Just all over the United States, and even emails. And how do you even know? And right now, it's just, she knows the ones here, but not, we've never been to any. We just, from Yvonne, we walked the UMKC campus before. She absolutely loved it. Just felt the camaraderie of the people like her in groups and things like that. That was very outstanding. But does that even happen in other colleges and universities? I don't know. She doesn't know. And it's just one of those things of how do you even know which ones to choose to even visit? Or how do you do? There's so many.
Well, I think Yvonne and Dr. Pecina would agree with me on this. And I think this is one of the things that he mentioned when he talked about the top 4 reasons for not completing college. But the feeling of being welcomed and having a multi-student multicultural office that really cares about the students. I think that's so imperative, because if they don't feel like, even if you send them away to an Ivy League school, if they don't feel welcome, they're not going to continue. They're going to feel like, I don't belong here and I need to go home. And sometimes even going home will mean that they stop going to college because they think, well, maybe college isn't for me because I didn't fit in there.
Yeah.
Going to different colleges, I think that's the right thing to do. Going to different campuses and see what feels right. I've had students that know students that are in the Avanzando program, and they know the environment and how we support each other. So they've decided to stay at UMKC just because they know that there's a support system already here at the university. So yeah, and then when you go to tours, ask them if there's a multicultural student affairs office, and if there's a Latino organization, how many Latino professors are there?
Right.
Yeah, you can ask all those questions, and then you will know if that's the right place for you.
You know, my cousin and also former colleague at Alta Vista, Robert Lopez, gave excellent advice. Go try to stay within your state. You know, because you get all of those discounts by being an in-state resident. That's some of the first things to do. You know, go to junior college too if you want to save some money, and then go on to a state institution. Right now, a lot of states are hurting. A lot of state institutions are hurting for money. So if you're an out-of-state student, guess what they're going to do? They're going to pile on that money for being an out-of-state student, and they're going to get you. Unless you're totally outstanding and they give you a full ride, and you don't have to worry about anything, man, go to any institution that does that for you. But if you're thinking of, we have wonderful institutions here in the state of Missouri, wonderful institutions in the state of Kansas, go K-State. And, but the thing is that we have to visit them and find out. What I didn't know as a high schooler is that I should have, if I wanted to be a teacher, I should have gone to the best college in the state that prepared teachers. I didn't know that. I thought I could just go anywhere and I'd be a teacher. You know, and not to bag on K-State, they did a great job because they produced me. But the best teacher college in the state of Kansas is Emporia. See, if I would have known that, I would say, man, you know, I'd go to Emporia to be the best teacher, to be the best trained in the state of Kansas. Now, that's something that a lot of parents don't listen. Diana, this is something you need to, okay, do I want to keep my kids in the state to save money? Great. Now let's find out what institution. Is it Northwest Missouri State? Is it MU? Is it a St. Louis? Is it South or North? UMKC does a great job, but find the best place to prepare your child and then visit and make sure you can, you feel it. You feel it. Yeah.
Uzzi, is there anyone like yourself, like you just did right now, that parents can talk to just like you talk to me right now? Like that's the thing that parents are asking for, is just that one-to-one connection with somebody who will take 20 minutes with them to talk to them about what is right for their child.
You know what? I know Dr. Macias does this because that's part of his job. Yvonne and I, you can find us at the UMKC website. We are more than happy to sit down with you on campus. We're more than happy to connect with you online. I've noticed that, but see, that's also personal among us Latinos. You're gonna ask the tia at the church, oh yeah, I hear that Maria went to UMKC. ¿Cómo la están tratando? Yes. How are they treating her there? Pues, they're taking care of my mija there. Okay, pues, I'm going to send my daughter there. So we talk to each other.
That's true.
That is true.
If you're having a crappy time at K-State, guess what? Well, I guess I ain't going to send my mijo to K-State, because we talk to each other. And that's all good. And I've been a conduit, as well as Mike and Yvonne, where parents will call, I'm thinking about my mijo going there. How are they going to take care of them? How are they going to treat them? Are they going to protect my daughter there? And I have to be honest and say, you know what? As best as we can, we will make this happen for your family. But it comes from people who are in the institution, should I say, right? Personal connections. That's what we're about.
That's it right there. We have so many questions, and I know that we kept you over. So just real quick, I don't know if we can run through these real fast to get just a quick answer. ACT test, is it mandatory?
I don't think so at UMKC.
Not anymore.
Yeah, it's not mandatory, but the higher ACT score, and Dr. Pecina and Yvonne can attest to this too, I'm sure, and Lori, but the higher ACT score is, the more free money you're going to be offered.
It's
And
good to
yeah,
good to take it. And also, if you go to junior college and earn your associate's degree, you don't have to take the ACT.
that's right.
Acuplacer.
Perfect.
Yeah, depending on your ACT, there'll be some automatic scholarships, and also your GPA. The 4.0 that your daughter has, I think there's some automatic scholarships from the institution.
Yeah, keep it up.
Sounds like you a 3.0 version of this group. We need to get together again.
We do need to get together again. I know, because there's so many questions coming in, and I don't know, do you all have time for a couple more, or I know we've already went over time, so.
I have a free ACT prep website that the Army has provided to me, and I can give that to anyone that wants it. But a lot of my first generation kids that use that site, if they take all 6 practice exams, they score in between 26, and I've had kids score a 34.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. So my good friend and high school classmate Carlos Alvarado Carrillo recommends Bellevue, Nebraska. They offer a high quality, low cost education there, and it's a non-profit private institution. So hey, looks like that's an institution to be checking out. If they're, you know what, and that's what has to happen if they want to attract people of color into, you know, homogeneous campuses. There's only so many white kids that can go along, right? And it can attract. So they're starting to get Black students from inner cities, Latino students from inner cities. They're starting to get more people of color to these rural institutions who need students. And that's what they have to do. They have to give us opportunities financially for success.
Absolutely. Okay, any last words? I know, hopefully we can maybe answer some of these questions on the comments, and definitely Uzzi, Mike, Yvonne, Lori, we'd love to have you back, because as you can tell, the community needs you, and I think just having these conversations at least another time might be helpful, just so people know you, get to know you, know that you really are there to help, because that's even another thing, trust. It's a hard thing to trust people sometimes, especially in our communities, right? So. It
is. Well, you know what, we can, you know, I like the mix of gender here, you know, males and females, but it would be cool if we can get a female professor or someone who can come on and help out, who works at institutions. I mean, we had Dr. Julia, who was supposed to be here, so she would have been perfect.
Yeah,
so,
we should come back.
I think there needs to be a second version of this grouping.
Absolutely. If you all we'd love to. Yeah, absolutely. Yvonne, any last words for our community?
Just reach out. We are here to help. I'm at the university, but I can also help you all on my personal time, just so everybody can start college and then start changing your family through education. Happy to be here. Happy to be in the call next time as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Yvonne. Mike, it was so nice to meet you. You are phenomenal, doing great work. And yes, what are your last words?
I think Uzzi and Yvonne and Lori and you have all the same resilience. I mean, that's the key, I think, to our success. Nothing is ever easy, or at least worth having, nothing is easy. So resilience, I think, is a key to all of our success.
Absolutely.
Hey, Deanna, can I give you a suggestion in the future? Not only have, you know, us that are, you know, pro college and pro higher education, I have lots of friends who are doing absolutely amazing jobs that are in the union fields.
Oh, we need that.
You know, technical degrees, have a bunch of different union reps on, because you know what, I had lots of nephews who didn't want to go to college, you know, said, you know, Theo Uzzi, I just don't want to go to college, but I tell them, we need people who can keep planes running. We need lines and our electricity running. We need a technical folk making things happen, because that's what we need in the world. We need everybody. So there's another group of professions that we need.
To tag on Uzzi, all 4 of my kids, they all tried college. They're like, Mom, that's for you. It's not.
It happens.
One works at Hallmark. The other, she does work in hospitality at a hospital. Our youngest daughter started her own business, and then our son is on the railroad. So
there you go. Tell you what, man. My one of my best friends, Jose Sustaita, he is a union representative for the IBEW, and man, he loves what he does. He loves working with his hands. He gets paid really well. I'm wondering, like, damn, Joe, I have a freaking doctorate, and you make just as much, if not more, than I. You know. But that's great that he's able to have that wonderful standard of living through the union. Wonderful.
You brought up a great point, because my own child, who's the one going to college here soon, not only wants to do the arts, but also the union.
Yeah.
So they want to learn more about it, and it's so hard to do that in Kansas City, just unless you know people that have done it. So I think having that conversation with lots of young people out there that want to know more about that and how they can be a part of or start their own unions here. So
working at apprenticeships. I'll get you in touch with Joe. Joe will get the for you.
Perfect. And so, Lori, did you do your last? You haven't done your last word yet.
My last word is it definitely takes a village. So whether you left a comment or you didn't, contact us through Deanna. We have resources. The resources are out there. If we don't know, we're going to find somebody who knows, because that's us. We have broad shoulders, and we get the work done. So we will figure it out.
Can we be chingonas too?
Yes, all of us.
You're gonna be a Chingóna.
Dude, I'm a chingona. Straight up. I need a t-shirt now.
Uzi, what are your last words? Thank you so much for being here and starting this podcast again with us.
I'm just glad to be a part of a wonderful group of knowledgeable folks, and man, we're here to serve. How's that? We're all here in service.
We're our servants.
Whatever we can do to help our communities, we're here. We have the knowledge now. We need to share it.
That's right.
100%. I appreciate all of you. You doing phenomenal work. I'm honored to have you all here in the community. I'm so glad to know you. I'm going to share all your information to anyone that might need it. So you just might get hit up with a lot of DMs. This is going to go on Instagram and Anchor, so people will know you there too. So just be ready for some calls. But I know you guys will be there with open arms to help. And if they don't have the resources, you guys will find someone else that can definitely help them. So we appreciate you so much.
All right.
All right. Thanks, community. We'll get to you, answer your questions, answer those, and we'll provide some resources here. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening.
Bye.
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 Later.